My wife cheated on me for 3 months, thereby destroying our family. Hi, everyone. I never thought I'd find myself posting here, but I need to get this off my chest. Even if no one reads it, maybe it'll help me make sense of what's going on in my life. Let me start from the beginning. I'm 34 years old, been married for 8 years, and my wife and I have a 5-year-old daughter. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. A nice house, decent jobs, and a good routine. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing ever seemed serious enough to worry about. Or so I thought. A few nights ago, I had to stay late at work. I work in IT, and one of our servers crashed, so I was stuck fixing it. Normally, I'm home by 6 p.m., but that night I didn't get back until close to 11. My phone had died earlier, so I didn't call or text anyone. I just rushed home because I'd left some important notes there. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the house lights were still on. That was unusual. My wife is usually in bed by then, and the house is dark except for the porch light. Then I noticed a car parked a little down the street. It wasn't one I recognized, but I brushed it off, thinking maybe it belonged to a neighbor's guest. The first thing that hit me when I walked inside was the silence. No TV, no footsteps, no dishes clinking in the kitchen. Our house is never that quiet unless everyone's asleep. I checked the living room. Empty. Then I went upstairs, and that's when I heard it. Quiet laughter, almost like someone trying not to be overheard. I can't even explain the feeling I had as I approached the bedroom door. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear anything else. Through the crack in the door, I saw my wife on the bed with another man. They were laughing, talking, and sitting far too close for it to be innocent. When he reached out to touch her face, I lost it. I pushed the door open, and they both froze. My wife's face went pale, and the guy just stared at me like a deer caught in headlights. I didn't yell or scream, I just stood there. Finally, I said, "Get out of my house." He scrambled to grab his shoes and left without a word. My wife started crying, saying it wasn't what it looked like, that he was just a friend, and that I was overreacting. I didn't say anything. I just grabbed my car keys and left. I drove around for hours, trying to process what had just happened. Eventually, I parked in an empty lot and sat there until the sun came up. The next day, my wife begged me to come home so we could talk. She swore it was a one-time mistake, that nothing physical happened, and that she'd cut off all contact with him. But I couldn't believe her. When she left the room, I checked her phone and found months of messages between them. It wasn't just flirting. They'd been meeting up for weeks. I'm staying with a friend now. I haven't told anyone else what happened because I feel embarrassed. We haven't discussed divorce yet, but I don't know how to move past this. My biggest concern is our daughter. She's too young to understand what's going on, but I'm terrified of how this will affect her. If anyone has advice or has been in a similar situation, I'd really appreciate your thoughts. Is divorce the only option? Or is it possible to rebuild trust after something like this? Update 1 week later. First, thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. I read every single response, and it really helped me feel less alone. A lot has happened since I posted, so I wanted to share an update. My wife and I had a long conversation a few days ago. She finally admitted that the relationship wasn't just emotional. They'd been sleeping together for over 3 months. She said it started when I was working long hours, and she felt neglected. Hearing that was like a punch to the gut. I've always tried to be a good husband and father, but maybe I was blind to how distant we'd become. That being said, I can't excuse what she did. There were a million ways she could have handled feeling neglected. Talking to me, going to therapy, anything but this. I asked her why she didn't just leave me if she was so unhappy, and her answer was heartbreaking. Because I didn't want to break up our family. The irony of that statement is unbearable. I've been trying to keep things as normal as possible for our daughter. I've been picking her up from daycare and spending time with her every evening. She keeps asking when I'm coming back home, and I don't know what to say. Update 2. 1 month later. After a lot of sleepless nights, I've decided to file for divorce. It wasn't an easy decision, but I realized that staying together for the sake of our daughter would do more harm than good. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for, and she'd eventually pick up on the tension between us. My wife is begging me to go to couples therapy, but I think it's too late. Every time I look at her, all I can see is the betrayal. I don't think I'll ever be able to trust her again, and without trust, what kind of marriage do we even have? I'm focusing on creating a stable environment for my daughter. I want her to grow up feeling loved and secure, even if her parents aren't together. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation, trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't ignore it. And remember, you deserve to be with someone who values and respects you. Thank you for listening. Writing this has been like therapy for me, and I hope my story helps someone else out there.